Everyone wants the new thing, right? Everyone wants what's the biggest, the baddest, the coolest thing out there. And the NFL is no different. This time in the offseason is when a lot of people start looking forward to the upcoming rookies and totally neglect the second-year players who could definitely break out in 2023. It's human nature, though, right? We all want the new cell phone. We all want the new car. Maybe you want the new menu item at your favorite restaurant. We have new ways to shave all the time. We've gone from straight razor to lawnmower 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, now 4.0. Then we're throwing in the weed whacker, and now we have a beard hedger over at manscaped.com. We got you covered if you got something to trim. Just a reminder, if you're looking for a discount for one of these awesome items, use promo code HEADLINERS at checkout for 20% off and free shipping. But now we're going to talk about some wide receivers, some second-year wide receivers in the NFL, and are they going to be a stud or a dud? So this is what we're going to do here today. I have 7 second-year wide receivers. I'm going to compare them in a multitude of metrics. We have their quarterback rank, target share percentage, red zone targets, yards after the catch per reception, catchable target rates, target separation, their path to targets, vacated targets, their ADP potentially for 2023, and their injury risk. And then I'm going to compare them head-to-head in each one of these metrics and assign them a point total of 1 to 7, because there's 7 of them. And at the end, we'll see who comes out with the highest overall score, and maybe what could change for 2023, and if there's any potential X factors to pay attention to. So here's our list of players. We got Drake London, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Christian Watson, George Pickens, Jahan Dotson, and Treylon Burks. So let's start it off with the quarterback comparison. And a lot of these guys have a lot of quarterback questions heading into 2023. Is Desmond Ridder the starter for Atlanta? He is as of right now, but we hear those Lamar Jackson rumors. What about the Jets? Are they getting Derek Carr? Are they getting Aaron Rodgers? What about Lamar Jackson there? As of right now, it's still Mike White. For Chris Olave, it's looking like it could be Jameis Winston unless they bring somebody in free agency or the draft. Christian Watson, his quarterback just sat in the dark for like 3 or 4 days. He's just come out. Is he going to stay in Green Bay? George Pickens, at least we know he's got Kenny Pickett. Sam Howell in Washington for Jahan Dotson. And Ryan Tannehill there in Tennessee for Treylon Burks. Now, I've ranked these guys 1 to 7, and you kind of have to take into account the type of offense they're in, right? Ryan Tannehill is not horrible, but in a run-first offense, not really asked to do a whole lot in the passing game, so that's why he was a little bit lower. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers, as of right now, the highest-ranked quarterback here in this group. Let's take a look now at target share percentage. What percent of the targets do they get on their own team? Drake London, 29%. That number could go up as well this year. What about Chris Olave at 27? 25 for Garrett Wilson. 18 for Treylon Burks. That's another number that could increase. We had 16% apiece for both George Pickens and Jahan Dotson, and then Christian Watson at only 15%. Now, let's move on to red zone targets, because I know you guys out there, you like your TDs, if I'm not mistaken. When it comes to red zone targets, we got Garrett Wilson at the top with 19, followed by Drake London at 15, and 14 for Christian Watson. Not a whole lot in the red zone department when it comes to second-year wide receivers. Now, let's take a look at yak per reception, which is yards after the catch per reception. And the leader here shouldn't be much of a surprise. It's Christian Watson at 6.7 yards after the catch per reception, followed by Treylon Burks and then Garrett Wilson. Now let's move on to catchable target rate, because remember, we can look at how many targets they got, but we want to know how many of those targets were catchable. And the biggest surprise that I saw here right off the bat was George Pickens. Kenny Pickett gave him 81.2% catchable targets, and then we already know what this guy can do when it comes to making amazing catches. We had Drake London at 79.5, we had Treylon Burks at 79.6, all great numbers. Olave, 75.6, who is his quarterback going to be? Jahan Dotson right there, had multiple quarterbacks last year as well. He's sitting at 70.5%. Not bad numbers overall. Now, target separation. At the time of the target, how much distance is between the wide receiver and the closest defender. And what this is going to tell us are how capable are these guys of creating separation and getting open to get the chance at targets. And right off the bat, Jahan Dotson, he can get open. 1.95 yards of separation. That's almost 6 feet of separation between him and the closest defender at the time of his targets. We also had Treylon Burks at 1.76, 1.68 for Garrett Wilson, the leaders in this category and the guys who really showed that they could get open. But now, is there a path for them to get the targets? A lot of these guys gonna get more opportunity in 2023. Drake London, sure, he has Kyle Pitts, but the other 3 wide receivers that were on the roster last year are all free agents. Of course, they're probably going to bring somebody in, but Drake London's target share should not go down. How about Garrett Wilson? He still has Elijah Moore, Corey Davis, Tyler Conklin, not much really changing for Garrett Wilson. Chris Olave. We got Michael Thomas, who doesn't really seem to want to play football much anymore. And then after that, 4 of the other wide receivers on this roster, all free agents. That means one Chris Olave going to have a huge opportunity here this year. For Christian Watson, sure, we got Romeo Doubs, but Lazard, Cobb, Tunyon, they're all free agents as well. George Pickens, he probably has one of the lowest paths to targets here because he's got to deal with Deontay Johnson, Pat Freiermuth, now Calvin Austin here this year as well. Jahan Dotson, another guy struggling to get a lot of work, right? Because you got Terry McLaurin, Curtis Samuel, Logan Thomas, not a whole lot of changes there in Washington, but then you hit Treylon Burks. They just let go of Robert Woods. There's not a whole lot really for him to worry about in Tennessee. What, Chigioko at the tight end position? Really not a whole lot. Now, I do expect them to add somebody at some point in the draft, but Treylon Burks is going to have a clear path. I'm talking about a clear path to targets, and we can see that when we look at vacated targets here for 2023. For Drake London, 145 vacated targets in Atlanta. How about 170 in New Orleans? And then we reach the big guys. For Treylon Burks in Tennessee, they have 248 vacated targets. Are all of those going to Treylon Burks? At this point, it's looking like it, but probably not. But he is in line for a huge target bump. And then what about Christian Watson? With Lazard, Cobb, and Tunyon all free agents, 265 available targets in Green Bay. Christian Watson could feast. Now, what is this going to cost us on draft day, right? Here are their projected ADPs. The 2 cheapest guys are Jahan Dotson and Treylon Burks as of right now with 8th round ADPs. Then we get into the 7th round for a George Pickens, the 5th round for Watson and London, and then the earlier guys, you got Olave in the 4th and Garrett Wilson in the 3rd. But now that we know all those metrics, how concerned should we be with their injury risk, right? Because Treylon Burks finished pretty high in a lot of these categories, and deservedly so. He's going to get a huge opportunity. But he's also the most at risk to injury, and that's a problem because that means he's going to bring a lot of overall risk with him to your roster, so you don't want to be overly reliant on him. At a current 8th round ADP, not that bad. If he starts to rise and get more expensive, that could be a problem. When it comes to the next highest injury risk, it's got to be Christian Watson, followed by Chris Olave, and then Jahan Dotson, really close there with Drake London. Not too concerned about a Garrett Wilson or a George Pickens. They've been pretty healthy overall. So now, we've gotten all of these metrics we've talked about. We've given them scores for every single one. How did they finish? Well, they finished like this. We had Treylon Burks overall number 1, Watson 2nd, Garrett Wilson 3rd, Drake London 4th, Chris Olave in 5th, George Pickens in 6th, and then Jahan Dotson in 7th. So now let's take a look at the outlook for 2023. For Burks, we know that we expect the Titans to bring somebody. They have to bring someone else in at the wide receiver position, but there are a lot of injury concerns there in a run-first offense. He's going to be really really reliant on some big plays. You need to get him cheaper if you want him. For Christian Watson, kind of the inability to stay healthy and on the field, plus we know all the questions surrounding Aaron Rodgers. If Aaron Rodgers is gone, more than likely I'm not interested in Christian Watson. Garrett Wilson. Who's going to be the quarterback for the Jets? Is it going to be a Derek Carr type quarterback? Even though Garrett Wilson popped off with Mike White, I don't know if I'm on board with Garrett Wilson until at least the third round, if that's the case. Drake London, we know about the Lamar Jackson rumors. He averaged almost 10 targets per game, though, with Desmond Ridder over the last half of the season, and there's a lot of other limited options, so I don't mind Drake London. Chris Olave, who is his quarterback going to be? He knows he's going to be in line for huge targets because everybody else is out of town. George Pickens, in his second year with Kenny Pickett, he still has to split some targets, though. You know Deontay Johnson still going to be the leader in that category in that offense. And then Jahan Dotson with Sam Howell. Is he the long-term answer? We really don't know, but there's two names, and this is why you stuck around for the entire video. There's two names that a lot of people aren't talking about and that I couldn't really measure in these metrics because they didn't play enough last year. It's Sky Moore and Jameson Williams. Now, a lot of people were overhyped on Sky Moore last year. Social media was abuzz with everything that Sky Moore could have been, and then the dude barely even played. Kind of like we expected. However, could get that opportunity this year. Mecole Hardman, Juju Smith-Schuster, Justin Watson are all free agents, and that frees up 259 targets in a Chiefs offense that, yes, still has MVS, Travis Kelce, and Kadarius Toney. But Sky Moore starting to get more usage end of season, could be a guy that we finally see next year in this offense, and now you get him at a crazy cheap price. And then Jameson Williams, he didn't hardly play at all last year due to the torn ACL. He really had like 4 targets all year long, one of them a big touchdown. Now DJ Chark is a free agent in Detroit, and that is a top 3 offense in scoring in the Lions. This is definitely an opportunity for targets to be there in a high-powered offense, and if the Lions' defense doesn't improve very much, you know they're going to have to throw the ball a ton. Jameson Williams, a first-round talent that a lot of people forgot about in fantasy football that you could get at a steal of a price in 2023. But what do you think about these 7 second-year wide receivers and the 2 X factors? Leave them down below in the comment section. Let me know what you think. And are any of these guys on your draft radar for 2023? Do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and then do your part to make the world a better place. And we'll talk to you later.